The Square Ball Podcast.
Welcome to the Square Ball Podcast. Dan, Michael, and Moscow White with you on the weekly show. It's brought to you with Levi Solicitors. 10% discount on your legal fees. levisolicitors.co.uk/the Square Ball. If you're not yet a TSB Plus member, there is still time to get on board with this. Enjoy our month's free trial. Brand new t-shirts coming your way in the next sort of couple of weeks. I think you might like the design for these. Perfect for spring. And there is a priority buying period and a discount for TSB Plus members. An ad-free stream as well, dedicated ad-free stream of all our podcasts, so you don't get any Jake Humphreys. It's not his name, is it? It's Jake Humphrey, but we should still call him.
Yes, call him Jake Humphreys.
Because it'd really rile him, wouldn't it?
Barry's son.
Yes, indeed. And no, you get no adverts, so you won't hear him inviting you to listen to his show if you get TSB Plus. And this week we spoke to Adam Pope from BBC Radio Leeds as well, didn't we? It was a good chat with Popey. He's terrified about Everton going down, so if you want to bask in someone else's misery, then have a listen to that. A little sample of it here.
Bits about him. Is he going to walk out of the Spygate? Is that just going to be too much of an injustice? Thoughts back. Literally pulls Frank's pants down and smacks him all over the place in front of the world's media, which was unbelievable. Yeah, and every season I think you learn a little bit more about him, that just how belligerent he was in a good way, but how much the players loved him, and that was a unified dressing room. Yes, there were people I'm sure that maybe are glad to see the back of him in some ways, but ultimately I think that's a very unified group that is still there, and that will help get them through the end and see them safe by the end of the season too.
Thanks to Popey for that then. We enjoyed it. It's good to hear his take on Frank Lampard as well.
Yes, I think he held back. He stopped short of
unconvinced
of calling him a complete twat, which I think is what we would have gone with, but I guess he's got to be diplomatic, hasn't he? BBC and all that.
thesquareball.net/plus if you want to listen to and watch all that stuff. Get the discounts and everything. That's TSB Plus. Into the weekly show then, and part one is where we look at the news. There'll be no preview section this week as well because there's no game. International week. We can all exhale. However, this section has kind of morphed into Relegation Watch, hasn't it, over recent weeks? Because, well, we've got nothing else to talk about.
Even that's irrelevant now, isn't it?
Yeah, now we're safe.
Yeah, I don't know why we're even looking at the bottom. Looking up. Can we still make Europe? No, now that we know that Wolves are not allowed into any European competitions, can we overtake them and sail past?
I think it's going to take quite a run towards the end of the season to get that, but let's not rule it out. Let's not be unambitious. People would accuse us of being negative otherwise, wouldn't they?
We are 17 points behind Wolves. So what's that divided by 3? So we need to win 5.66 recurring games.
Fine. Should we just round that up to 6?
That will probably make it easier, wouldn't it?
And hope everybody else in between loses.
And how many games are left?
About 8.
Well, I've got plenty then.
8 games, yeah. Games to spare.
Psychologically, I know we've kind of dealt with the fallout and all the implications of the high drama that we witnessed at Molineux, but now the weekend's out of the way, dust has settled a little bit more. Are you a little bit happier than a week ago?
I mean, I think a week ago, I'm pretty sure on the Relegation Watch bit, I took Newcastle and Brentford out of even looking at their fixtures because I was like, well, they're gone. They're probably safe. And now we're within a point or two of them, and I still don't feel like we're safe, so I'm not quite sure how my mind is working on that. But yes, it looks a lot better. My
Newcastle mate is he's still looking over his shoulder. He's not yet convinced that it's done and dusted, and the chances, like the statistics of it, suggest that they are just about there. I think the chances of them going down is something like 4%. That Project 538 website that incorrectly guessed that Hillary Clinton would be Donald Trump, but it also modelled our promotion. We followed it a lot through the promotion season, didn't we? Just to see what the statistics were saying, and they're modelling. They've got Newcastle down as a 4% chance of going down. We are at 22. Brentford somewhere in between that. So Newcastle and Brentford should be safe. But
Brighton, as Moscow rightly predicted at the start of the season, they're trying to fight their way back into this, aren't they? Yeah, having won 7 games in about the first 20, just stop bothering now.
They've got 2 left, and as we said, because they've got us right at the end of the season, they've got to save one of their remaining wins that they are allotted every year, 9 and no more.
I mean, you think we're joking about this? We're not. No. If you go back and check, every Premier League season they win 9, don't they?
Yep, and not a single one more. So they've got to save a couple up for us. But I think the Newcastle defeat at Everton kind of said something about Newcastle, that they've been on a good run. They've beaten us, obviously, then they beat Everton, Villa, They drew with West Ham, beat Brentford, Brighton, Southampton. So good, and that's probably got them safe. But it doesn't mean they're a great team. It doesn't turn them into kind of. They didn't become world beaters overnight. They just went on a good run of results, and you saw that game was just awful.
It was really shit.
Two terrible teams.
Richarlison, though, good to watch him. Such a fun player, isn't he, Richarlison?
It's
but him and Jimenez would get on really well.
Like Jogo Benito, isn't it? The beautiful game. And it's kind of a shame in some ways that Norwich, Burnley and Watford are so dire that we can't really account for Everton or Newcastle getting really shoved down with them. I would love, obviously, now is not the time to do it, but if we could send 5 teams down once we're up to 15th, I think it would be worthwhile. And, you know, if it is down to the joy of football and the beautiful game, I know the rest of the world may not have enjoyed it, and we heard in propaganda that some Wolves fans think it was the shame of football and the world game should be embarrassed about what happened at Molineux. But so much more exciting. Even Everton having their kind of late winner against Newcastle, it wasn't fun and it wasn't good. It wasn't thrilling, and it didn't say. And then they went immediately to Crystal Palace and just got absolutely trounced 4-0. So at least I think us putting those back-to-back wins together and with the way they were done just says we are a better team, a more confident team, with better people. We play better football. It's more exciting.
Leeds United, just nicer.
Yeah, generally. We bring a lot to the Premier League, so maybe there is a conspiracy to keep us in it. And because that was the other half of the Wolves mania that gripped everybody online afterwards, was not only the conspiracy to keep Wolves out of Europe, but the conspiracy to send Everton down. Because, you know, the last 50 years of them honking up the first division,
and with media darling Frank Lampard in charge, I mean, it's all really lining up.
And you know, it's without Hans Sagers to pay off to keep them in the Premier League. I don't know what they're going to be able to do this season. It's like the one protection is gone. But I'd love them to go down. Who do we save? Let's keep. I mean, Burnley may as well stay up.
Do you know we save us, and then let's just see what the fates decide.
Well, that's what I mean. Four teams should go down, and then the further we go up the table, the more teams below. Every team that finishes below Leeds United should be relegated. Those are the new rules. Sorted out the Premier League.
Yeah, it does feel a much nicer place. And I mean, we always said, didn't we, like 2 wins on the bounce, which I did predict, by the way.
You've been predicting that all season, though. You're an idiot.
Stopped clock and all that. No,
yes.
But I mean, like the Leeds United madness that just every now and then we pull it out of the bag, like we did at West Ham. I always feel like it's somewhere within us, and I know we've really struggled to play properly this season. It's not ever really clicked, apart from maybe that West Ham game and maybe 1 or 2 select other ones. But we should have pumped Norwich. Let's face it. You know, we should have absolutely had them out of sight in that first half. But by not doing so, it then lets them back into the game. And then that sub was quite negative, wasn't it? Bringing Koch on and for Rodrigo.
The bench at Molineux said everything in the second half. The number of players who were there. So Rafinha is absent already. He's at home with COVID. And then you've got Bamford in tears, Liam Cooper with his arm around him, Calvin just trying to keep things cheerful. Mellier's off. Click has gone off. Llorente's gone off. Gelhardt hasn't trained all week, so he's not fit to play. It's ridiculous, and it's cost us a good season. It's cost us Bielsa. It's cost us, you know, the progress that we wanted from last year. Nobody would be able to perform the way we would wanted Leeds to perform this season in that situation. But for them to be getting the results they've got in the last 2 games says a lot about them and who they are and what they want to be. It's kind of it's to their credit that they've taken this absolute shit season and actually given us these moments of like real incredible joy. I don't know. I kind of made my whole match report from Wolves about Luke Ayling and the things he's done. And I guess when he has his hero nominations in the Heroes and Villains show, it comes up. But, you know, Swansea was him running from one end of the pitch to the other with the ball. Birmingham, the 4-5 was like him. Like every goal seemed to either be scored by him or come from across by him or driving up the pitch. The title run in when he scored the only goal against Bristol, and he opened the scoring at Hull, and he opened the scoring at Huddersfield. Just absolute maximum effort. And you compare it to, you know, Brentford, where Ivan Toney seems to just regard the team he plays for and the place he plays in just as like a sad joke upon his life that he feels very wronged by. It's very different atmosphere.
I know we pay no heed to what's going on at Brentford, but I'd almost be tempted just to find out what they think about Ivan Toney.
They defend him massively online. Is what you actually find. They're all going, no, he was just saying no, we're exciting because he didn't want to show off. It's like, I don't know anything about Tony, but he seems like he probably is a bit of a show off. Like the way he takes penalties and stuff. He seems like he kind of wants things to be.
He's a striker with an ego.
Yeah, which is fine. Which is probably what you want, truthfully, from a striker. Is you want someone who gives it the big arm a bit.
Jimmy Hasselbank was like that, and he was brilliant.
He just doesn't feel that he can do it at Brentford because he realises it's basically a League One team, and he's kind of stuck there.
If he'd have only ever said, you know, oh, where do you play football? Nowhere exciting. So if anybody hasn't seen this, for some reason somebody like Vox popped him through his car window.
I think it was Vox Pops about like thingy currencies,
cryptocurrency.
Yeah. So he's answering questions about that.
What's your favourite crypto?
Yeah.
What do you do? I'm a professional footballer.
Yeah. What's your name? Yeah. Ivan Toney said, oh, who do you play for? He says, nobody exciting. Or where do you play? Nowhere exciting. And that would be fine. And I could see it was kind of like a understated modesty thing. If it wasn't like 3 weeks since there was a video of him on holiday saying, fuck Brentford. So the two things coming together are kind of like, there's a pattern emerging here. I don't know what the third thing where they'll have to be like, oh, you know, actually, maybe.
Do you know what it's like? It reminds me of, and do you do this, Michael, or like when you meet, you know, say if you go on holiday or whatever and you meet people there, you make holiday friends. So where are you from? Just outside, just Leeds. That's what I always say. I don't ever tell them Bradford. I don't need to bring that sort of shame on myself.
It's very true, yeah. Just keep it vague.
Yeah.
But
outside, do you say just outside Leeds? Because you don't want to say Pontefract, do you?
It's a fine town. It's a fine historic town.
Proud of it. Is that Haribo you're eating? You know where that came from? I made it myself.
Or are you a Wakefield denier?
Well, I mean, I'm actually from Wakefield, I would say.
Yeah.
Which is, you know, Ponty's kind of part of. But yeah, I think with Tony...
You're from the 5 towns.
Exactly.
Count them.
I'm not from all of the 5 towns.
Most people are just from one.
I'm from 2 of them.
What are the 5 towns? Dewsbury, Ponty, Wakefield.
Not Dewsbury. That's on Huddersfield way.
Castleford.
You've got like Castleford, Ponty. Is it Fev? Does that count? Is it Featherstone? I don't.
Basically, what the other way of saying this is just like, do you like rugby league? I'm from there.
Not particularly, actually. But anyway, yeah. With Tony, I don't know. It feels like any Premier League striker's job is probably quite glamorous. So for him to be like, yeah, the way he answers that is as if he's playing in like Peterborough's reserves or something. Yeah. He's like, yeah, I'm not.
It's the Premier League. It's London.
No one's really heard of me. That kind of a vibe. But actually,
I'm kind of a big deal.
But he's quite a good player.
To prevent anybody from emailing in, the 5 towns are Normanton, Pontefract, Featherstone.
Jesus Christ, I got Normanton.
Castleford and Nottingley.
Your surname?
Yeah, that's.
I mean, you're from Wakefield. You live in Pontefract. Your surname's Normanton.
Yeah, that was
a big struggle for you. Your middle name's Nottingley. And you dream of living in Cass.
No one dreams of living in Cass.
Cass Vegas. Just going back to what we were saying there about like the atmosphere at Leeds. No, you weren't saying it, I was thinking it. One thing we've got is togetherness. I think we've got a real sense of togetherness, and maybe, as you were saying over in Propaganda Moscow, that maybe that's the thing that Jesse Marsh has really brought to the team, is just to make them feel loved again. And they all seem to be really united, don't they? Like we saw with the celebrations at Molineux for the winner, charging across the pitch and all that shit.
Not allowed, by the way.
No. It's a crime against world football or whatever. Contrast that with some of the other clubs. Like, Watford doesn't strike you as a particularly happy place, does it? And like, because they all...
Roy Hodgson doesn't bring a party.
They hate Hodgson.
And he hates half their players
yeah.
And also hates the fans. And they hate the decisions he made. They're constantly, every time I see a post-match interview, it's Hodgson's basically saying, you know, I'm right to bring that player off. I don't care what the fans think, and also I don't think that player's good enough, but he's here and I have to put up with him. And it's hilarious.
And the one we're obviously leading towards here is Everton and Frank Lampard. And look, we don't need to do this at any great length because it's been said lots in recent weeks. But let's have a quick talk about it.
Let's get the low-hanging fruit. Let's pick it.
Absolutely. But what sort of a manager, when they're in this situation, when they need everyone, when you need buy-in, is what you really need, a buy-in for what it is you're trying to achieve, hangs his players out to dry in the way that he did against Palace. And he might be right, actually, about the mentality of the players not being right, but what's to be gained from doing that in public, apart from trying to mask your own shortcomings?
He doesn't leave it at the mentality, though, does he? He says, what the bit that worked in the game was me.
Tactics, wasn't it? It's not tactics.
The bit that worked in the game that I set up, that bit was good. The bit where it went wrong, nothing to do with me.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
all before I got here.
When it started going wrong, that wasn't tactics anymore. That was the players. I mean, in the same way as when they beat Brentford in his first game, he was giving it. It's good to see all the things we've been doing on the training pitch coming off. Well, why doesn't he do? Has he stopped doing stuff on the training pitch now? He's been there for weeks. Why doesn't he tell him to not be shit after 20 minutes?
And I know what we're doing is we're basically skirting around the issue of how can you absolve yourself in the way that he does of any responsibility for what's going on. That's what I find absolutely remarkable. Like anybody in a leadership position. You can't do that. You cannot do that. Look at how often, and we're going back to Bielsa, even if it wasn't necessarily his fault, would shoulder the blame for absolutely everything. And he was, in no way would ever chuck his players under the bus.
And Marsh, the same, in fairness, so far. The Villa game was terrible, and he said it was terrible, but he didn't go through and say, well, everything I've done was fine. Yeah. It's not my fault.
Yeah. He had a little bit about them kind of that it was a struggle to adapt. You can tell they've been playing one way for 4 years. It's going to take them some time to
There was a sympathy in it, though, wasn't there?
Yeah, but he was kind of saying that it will be me who I have to get them to sort that out and change it, whereas it's Lampard's attitude is always, I have told them all the things they need to do and they're just not doing them, so I don't know what else they want.
I've already told them to just deal with the pressure. Yeah. And I've already told them to just grow some bollocks, and what more do they really need from me? I mean, I'm not a miracle worker. Well, I am. I've done obviously a very good job at Derby and Chelsea, but these players are just not doing it for me.
I think it's there is kind of a different track of manager in the world, because I suppose Marsh was a player, but we can just dismiss it because it was all in America.
Not a brilliant one.
Well, I'm thinking because Steven Gerrard.
Just while we're on that, thanks to Leeds United Bay Area, by the way, for
yes, I've got a mug, got a t-shirt, and I mean, I am prepared to wear anything that people send me for free. Just to be clear, great bunch of lads.
So let's get the old the gimp suit in.
Nice t-shirt though.
Yeah, it's lovely.
Thank you very much for those. Yeah. They've got them too, and we even received them in the right sizes, didn't we? A medium, a large, and extra, like the Bears.
I arrived already dressed this morning, though, so whereas you turned up like just shirtless, so you had to put yours straight on.
But anyway, you were saying yes about
about Steven Gerrard talking about Saka should expect to be kicked because he's got a steel hip, and it's just Lampard seems to live in that world as well, where he just can't understand that it's not 2002 and he's a great player anymore, and he can't just tell players be better and it'll work. There's more to it than that. And whereas Marsh was a player, but he's gone down the very studious kind of Red Bull route. Bielsa gave up playing at an early age and just devoted himself to coaching. And the thing with managers like Klopp, he didn't have a significant playing career and devoted himself to coaching. So Guardiola had a top flight career, didn't he? Maybe it's the English players seem to be the problem. Gerrard and Lampard have this particular entitled style.
I don't find Gerrard as bad, I have to say. I find like Lampard's on a whole other level for this stuff.
But he was being a right dick at the weekend. There's the other part of his interview where he started sort of parroting the questions back and sort of saying, I think these questions you're asking me are disrespectful. And about... and even though he was agreeing with them, he's like, I just think the way you're asking I've already said
you don't have the right to speak to me like that.
Basically, there's a lot of that. And I suppose if you did compare playing careers, like Guardiola probably had as much a good of a career. He played for Barcelona, he played for Spain, he won all sorts of stuff. But is he more or less of an entitled dickhead than Frank Lampard, who by comparison, I mean, I suppose he won some stuff, but I don't care.
Can we hear the clips of Lampard? Let's
top scorer at Chelsea. I mean, taking over from Kerry Dixon, big deal. He's just like a modern Andy Townsend, isn't he?
Yeah, and if you are
got him out of the truck and put him on a bench.
Like the end of the extra ball this week is a good one, where we do speak to Popey about Frank Lampard, and I think he remains unconvinced. And we did challenge him as well. Would you swap Bielsa for Lampard? And the answer there is quite instructive. We won't spoil the outcome of that one, but let's hear from Frank, shall we?
We didn't play that badly today, and Palace didn't play that well today, and we lost 4-0 because of a lack of confidence and a lack of what I just said. So wasn't tactics tactics showed in the first 20 minutes, Palace can get out of half. So when you do things right within that structure, you'll be all right. If you can't be clinical in front of goal, you won't score goals. You won't feel like you're going to score goals. If you allow people to stroll into your box and finish with ease, they'll finish with ease. So real basics.
He's gaslighting his players. if you do this right, then everything will be fine. It's like I'm watching at the moment an Amazon documentary about pyramid selling. He's kind of like the people in charge of that, when they're like, look, if there are problems, you are the problem. It's my tactics were great. Don't let them score in the box. That's what you need to do. How do we stop them scoring? With the tactics.
Goes back to what we were saying about Jake Humphrey on propaganda last week, about you need to work harder and believe more, don't you?
You
to stop conceding goals.
Listen to Frank Lampard more. That will save everything. And even goes back to when they did win and he had to make it all about himself, because I swear down he punched something on purpose so he could pretend he'd broken his hand. There didn't seem to be any evidence of like hand damage in the Crystal Palace match. Like, did he have a cast on?
No, I don't think he did.
Not really. So I think that was all a fake. And I might be wrong.
Yeah.
So legally, like, I'm leaving out all the options on the table. I'd just like to see an X-ray.
Demand proof.
Mm-hmm.
Demand proof.
Well, I don't trust Frank Lampard. Well, I think that's I suppose that's a very good comparison. Marcelo Bielsa, I'd give him responsibility for everything. Mm-hmm. Frank Lampard, I wouldn't let him look after an old shoe.
I wonder what it was going to be then. But it's absolutely right, isn't it? Like, when they won the other week, surely that's the point at which you say the players have put everything out there. This is exactly, we worked on a lot of stuff in training, but they've gone out there and they've delivered, and they should be really proud of themselves, because
instead of like, oh, I've broke my hand.
But that's what
look
you do.
Look at me, look at my hand.
And then when it goes badly, say, look, I will do everything in my power to turn this around. Today was not good enough, and we take responsibility together, but we go away and we work on it together. And you pull everyone together and you make everyone believe in it. But the fact he's hanging him out to dry already, it's pathetic.
Even if you're lying.
Pathetic man.
Even if you're lying, it's really easy to say.
Yeah,
like it's not difficult.
That's all press conferences are. It's managers saying what they have to say and what is expected.
And we know he's good at lying as well. He's lied about what happened at the training ground. He's lied about breaking his hand.
In your opinion,
well, all I'm saying is I saw him 10-pin bowling on the weekend.
Who was he with? Christine and
it was at Escape in Castleford.
How did he get on? Did he go play the crazy golf afterwards?
He lost, but blamed it on others.
Right. Let's hear this other clip.
Yeah, nothing for me. It should be nothing, because
nothing.
Right.
The one thing is a spoilt little boy, and he went to a posh school, and he still says nothing. Mm-hmm. It's just unforgivable.
That's so he can sound like the common man, isn't it?
Nothing. It's the way he says nothing 3 times in a row. I just went, oh.
Well, I'm glad you shared it with us.
Nothing.
Anyway, follow with the 22nd richest club in the world.
That's good, isn't it? That seems high in the list.
That's the Deloitte, they're the finance people, aren't they? That's what they're known as. Like, on their badge on their building, it says Deloitte and that. Finance people. Yeah. But they're ranking club turnover and stuff. 22nd richest club in the world.
It's mad, really, isn't it?
It's not enough. We need more.
We've only just turned up in the Premier League.
What we do is we need to make more money so we can give it all to players and agents.
That's what Man City have done.
It is.
And they've.
Have you seen their commercial turnover?
Yeah,
and the amount of it that seems to come strangely
from sponsors.
Yeah, like a lot of them seem very close to the ownership there. Interesting, isn't it?
They just want to support. It's like when those companies based in the British Virgin Islands wanted to support Ken Bates and his administration. Mm-hmm. Just sometimes you get these
nice friends.
Sometimes you get nice overseas friends who like to invest in something.
And we ended up with Sabotop. Yeah. Like, why can't our fake sponsor give us loads of money instead of us having a sponsor that doesn't effectively exist and giving us no money either?
What even is a Sabotop?
Well, nobody knows today. It's just some weird shell betting company that doesn't really happen.
It's an Isle of Man based betting company.
Yes.
Who you can't use to bet if you're in the Isle of Man.
They did start faffing with a UK domain, didn't they? But there doesn't seem to be any evidence of it so far.
Yeah, I can't.
It's all very weird.
I hope we get a proper, like if we stay up this time, and then we sort of kick off. It feels like we're sort of, as Phil Hay wrote this week, about going into a new cycle, aren't we? We're going into a new era. get rid of them lot. Get something we recognise.
Yeah, I've tried going on their website and it just says disable ad block.
Right.
There's nothing there else to see, and then that's it. So that's good. It's good that they're encouraging us all to.
I want a skip hire firm on the front.
That would be nice. I mean, box T is pretty cool.
Box tea.
Because it's just.
It's like Mr. T, isn't it?
Or iced tea.
It's just boilers. And that's obviously not as cost effective anymore.
What should you do? Jumpers sponsor next year.
Yeah.
Jumpers.
Nice thick sweaters.
Get yourself a jumper.
They can put the teams out in some of the merchandise.
I mean, Arsenal have got it right. Visit Rwanda. A bit warmer there. You won't need a jumper. So maybe we should be looking to that sort of thing. Energy efficiency. That's what Arsenal are all about.
I'm not sure planes are energy efficient, but never mind.
Fixtures being moved. So we were going to play Chelsea at lunchtime on Easter Sunday. Is that the 17th? That's not happening anymore because they went through in the FA Cup. So actually, it gives us another week off, which ain't a bad thing.
And it's great news for me because I'm on holiday that week. I thought I was going to miss that.
So why did you book a holiday during the season?
It's like the third year I've tried to go on this holiday. It keeps being COVID.
Is our company not enough for you?
Well, I mean, in fairness,
did he tell you about this, Moscow?
I may have avoided this had the fixtures been out when I booked it, because Chelsea at home was one of the games I've been looking forward to for like 16 years. Mm-hmm. So that's good that it's moved.
Yeah,
I mean, it's a shame that that they're progressed in the cup, because I ideally want them to not win anything and then be wound up.
Love Middlesbrough.
Well, they're all right, aren't they? I suppose
it was a shame for Johnny and Sol, and
exactly.
I suppose Peltz was there as well, wasn't he?
Great.
I mean, I know you can say what you like about Lee Peltier, but at least he's not at war with Ukraine.
That is absolutely true, to the best of our knowledge.
Yeah, the emails that he used to send people begging us to buy tickets for the games were always very diplomatic. I felt there was never like an underlying threat with any of those.
He never came to our house and forced them upon us, did he?
No, absolutely not. So that's it's the Easter weekend then. So it's a shame, isn't it, that the 4-day weekend won't be punctuated by a game at Sunday lunchtime, and then Town would have been absolute carnage after that if that one finished at about 2:30. But never mind.
There's still a lot of games scattered around the division that aren't scheduled yet, are they? Are Burnley even bothering with half their games, or is it just going to get relegated and say, scrap it? No point.
From a psychological standpoint and a fitness standpoint, I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing, because our fixtures suddenly read Southampton at home, Watford away, Palace away, and I think Palace is on paper the most difficult of those three games. But that's before we get round to Man City. So hopefully
Palace have just got FA Cup in their mind now as well, because they're safe already, and they've got a chance of winning a cup, which would be amazing for Palace. Yeah,
but then it leads into us against Man City, and then us away to Arsenal, where you think hopefully we can get this one boxed off before we get round to that. So if we could get maybe
get it boxed tee off,
6 or 7 points from these next three games, and then suddenly the season is done, and we can all relax a little bit and have some fun.
Everton with their games in hand, so they need to arrange a game with Watford. That's obviously a big deal. And then they need to arrange a game. It's at home, but it's Crystal Palace again. And we already know, Frank Lampard's done everything he possibly can.
He knows the tactics that work already.
But will the players do them?
They worked into a 4-0 defeat.
That's the big problem. And it is,
there's only 8 weeks of the season left, just to feed into the point you're making here, Moscow.
Yeah, and so they've got to get these games in, and they've already got more games left than we have, without those two that need to be arranged. So it's getting... So yeah, because their Burnley game, which is... so they come back against West Ham, and then Burnley in midweek, then Scum, then Palace, which... or maybe... No, that's because that's been now postponed from that weekend, from Easter, so they've got to put that in somewhere else. Leicester, Liverpool, Chelsea, Leicester, Brentford, Arsenal getting the championship.
We did say, didn't we? I think I do hope they're forced to play Leicester on consecutive days, like in the 1950s, like Christmas Day and Boxing Day or whatever, like it used to be. I'd be up for that. So that's good. They're going down then. Excellent. Transfer rumours. Phillips has been linked with a move again to West Ham. Villa.
Villa's not happening.
No, if he goes anywhere, it's going to be Champions League level, isn't it? But he's not going anywhere.
And what would be the point of going to West Ham or Villa? Like if he got to move to Manchester City or Liverpool, I could understand what he was doing. But what's the point of finishing 8th? If we finish 16th, It's a difference.
And
you get to live in Leeds.
Both West Ham and Villa, it's not inconceivable we finish above them next year.
Yeah.
So what would be the point?
Yeah.
What would be the point? I suppose loads of money might be the point, depending on what they're offering and what we're offering.
It's also
You can't spend it all anywhere, Calvin.
Just offer him more.
He's a fairly... It strikes me that he doesn't live a ridiculous lifestyle. I mean, he wears expensive clothes, but...
I mean, Balenciaga, yeah, we're not...
Yeah. Hasn't he got a Lamborghini or something? So.
But apart from all that...
But he earns like £100,000 a week. You've got to really go some to spend that much money.
That is the... I've been thinking about this sometimes with Brendan Aronson, who's just done his MCL. He's got an MCL tear, which is interesting. So that kind of puts him out for a junior FURPO length of time. But his life in Salzburg just looks so beautiful. Like the mountains and the lifestyle and just the chateaus and everything just looks great. And
come to Beeston out, Brendan.
Yeah, I do kind of think if you're going to give him a house in the Five Towns and he can come and train in Leeds every day.
I mean, him and his girlfriend are very active on one another's Instagram, and they look very, very wholesome. They are the classic all-American college couple, aren't they?
They also look 12, which is weird.
Yeah, I don't know what I hate most about them, whether it's their happiness or their youth.
Or their health.
I mean, I don't begrudge them their health, but
they look so healthy.
Yeah, they do. They're an interesting
all that fresh mountain air
pair. It'd be seeing them adapt to
gets the diesel fumes of the M62 one.
Come to this asbestos-ridden stadium that needs to be knocked down and enjoy life next to the motorway.
Brendan keeps posting all these photos of just like beautiful snow-topped mountain ranges. I think, the Yorkshire Dales are beautiful.
Ilkley Moor is every bit as good as the Alps.
When it's not on fire.
That's true.
So if we want Brendan Aronson to play for us next season, everybody this summer, just be careful with your barbecues on the moor, because we need to keep the landscape just at least presentable so that when he comes to Yorkshire, he gets a good impression.
I don't think I ever said, but I actually went up on Ilkley Moor the day after the Villa game just because I needed to get away from everything. Like I was so stressed by Leeds United. I went up there. Can confirm a lot of it was on fire in the last... Not when I was there.
It's a bit of a problem. But,
recent years.
And then the other way is Fabrizio Romano this morning. He's talking about Rafinha to Brazil. To Barcelona. He's Brazilian.
Mm-hmm. Which I would accept, by the way. If they pony up the money, but they're not really.
How come we went broke and had to be out of the Premier League for 16 years? Barcelona were skint for like 15 minutes, and then all of a sudden they went, it turns out we've got loads. We just found it all again. We had loads of money. It was just in a cupboard.
I think they were
we're ready to go again now.
Shoeboxes.
It was all a mistake. Someone had done a spreadsheet wrong.
But they've always got a lot of cash coming in at Barcelona because of the nature of it. But I think it's just because they overreached so much with the wages and transfers and stuff that they just got squeezed by the.
And they've learned their lesson now.
Yeah.
Yes. They're never going to make those. So they had the big funding gap because of COVID. So there was like a big revenue hole, and then that taught them a few lessons about being fiscally responsible. So now they're going to get Messi back, get Rafinha in, whoever else, whatever.
I'm just tidying up the transfer stuff. Aaron Hickey, who's a 19-year-old Scot at Bologna. Never heard of him. I've not even heard of this rumour. Who's found this one?
It was just on one of the sites this week. It was just interesting. It's not a name I'd heard before. I tend to not bother putting anything on if it's a name I've heard before, because I'm sick of talking about the same people again.
Named after a teenage thing.
A love bite.
That's the word. Yeah.
Which takes us back to Brendan and Co. He's not the one. He's not the one we were linked. We were being linked with another Scottish left back from Aberdeen in the January window.
Yeah.
Who he was supposed to be going to Italy. So I don't know if this is just let's just
some
link.
Sort of Chinese whispers.
Yes,
thing has made given the wrong Scotsman.
We've got rumours of Flynn Downs as well, who's a 23-year-old Swansea midfielder. Again, never heard of him, but they bought him from Ipswich. So says the note here last summer for $1.5 million.
Is he related to Wally?
Yes.
Let's say yes.
And finally, then just
Errol Flynn.
He's the manager of. He was managing Wimbledon, wasn't he?
On Rafinha, obviously he had COVID. Passed it on to Robin Koch. We found out today, Tuesday.
Well, we don't know that for certain. We know that they both have COVID and they both play for Leeds. But whether they were,
yeah, it was a metaphorical.
Whether he sneezed in his face is a, speculation.
Whether he licked. Oh, I've just realised now. Let's not even do that joke.
What joke?
Licking cock. Melier has a hip contusion,
which is a bruise,
right?
when you actually look at it, because I thought, that sounds bad.
It does sound bad.
Sounds like he's going to need that replaced.
Have you contused anything ever?
But it's I've covered in contusions.
Yeah.
After the I had some after the Norwich game actually from the celebrations. Which game was it this season? You ended up with a really.
My contusion. Oh, it was
that Brentford.
It was the Brentford. Yeah, Brentford. I ended up falling over some seats, and it took about 5 or 6 weeks for my contusion to heal. I think it might have even been a hematoma. You know.
Oof.
Yeah, it was. It really. And I've still got marks there. It's not quite healed yet, and it's still a bit itchy sometimes. So that's my contusion story.
The other fullback
I'm a survivor.
was a right back called Calvin Ramsey, who seems to be still at Aberdeen.
Okay. Anyway, we've seen Clicky as well, who's recovery going well. Tick. He put on his is that Instagram, and he's eating pizza and drinking a beer. That's not the most notable feature of this. Obviously, there's the state of his eye, but he's happy and he's smiling. The eye will get better. The concussion will be dealt with.
And he's toned the fleece with his eye, which is nice. He's gone for the purple fleece. I love the purple face.
That fleece is this. It's a sort of nana fleece, isn't it? It's the sort of thing you see a pensioner on a ferry wearing to stay warm.
He wears some good stuff, does Clicky.
I love him. Yeah,
I quite like him. He's not. I don't get the feeling he just goes for the standard Balenciaga stuff. Like
that's what I was going to say. If you contrast it with Calvin Phillips, who's always wearing Balenciaga, and you look at Balenciaga and how preposterous and expensive it is, versus that, where it looks like he's just gone down to Millets or something, doesn't it? And he's bought a fleece.
I think that's an expensive fleece.
I'm sure it probably is, but I think he's a bit more like...
It's North Face, isn't it?
I feel like he kind of looks into stuff a bit more.
If you look, you can see the North Face logo on it, so it's not that expensive. A North Face fleece is not that expensive.
Whereas most footballers will just go, what's everyone else wearing? I'll just have one of them. In the same way as they all have the identical grey house. Whenever you see a footballer's house on Twitter, they've always gone, just do me the same. Whatever that is, dining chairs with handles on the back and all grey. That'll be fine.
There's only one designer, isn't it? It's Footballers' Houses Design Co, who they all go to. Anyway, the women lost 2-0 at home to Newcastle, who were top of the table in the league that they're in, which is a shame. 23s, however, keeping the pecker up. 3-0 win against Scum at Ellen Road last Tuesday. So we recorded on Tuesday, which was just ahead of the game, wasn't it? And a child scored in the form of Archie Gray, which is great. Although he's 16. What can you do at 16 that you weren't allowed to do before? You get your national insurance card, don't you?
Smoking a change now.
I think it might be 18 now for smoking.
And lottery was the other thing as well.
Are you suggesting Archie Gray gets into smoking?
Just saying he could. And lottery tickets were the other thing.
Archie, your lung capacity.
I was 18. I can't remember.
Getting into it, just legalising it. Formalising his habits.
Your lung capacity seems to have really dropped, Archie, since you turned 16.
We're missing the opposite. You can have sex. You can have sex at 16, can't you? So congratulations, Archie.
Yeah.
Your Click's fleece, by the way, is a £360 Cause limited edition.
Oh, right.
So it's
Cause as in the Irish band?
No, as in KAWS, the guy who does the
Michael
sculptures.
Oh, okay.
We're back to the whole honour of kings confusion, aren't we? It's a really expensive limited edition, very fashionable fleece. So £360 for that purple thing with the you don't really see it on him as much, but there's the full. It's got a red collar with yellow trim, just to really set off the two-tone purple. And there's two X's there. So Cause makes these kind of Mickey Mouse style sculptures that have X's for eyes. And
I've seen them.
Yeah, they were just down the road from you at West at the sculpture park. Huge things over there, and that's where Click was also over the weekend. He had a nice day out at
the sculpture park,
at Yorkshire Sculpture Park. Yeah, he has a good life.
He's done all right, hasn't he? He seems quite happy.
I'm happy for him that he's having a nice time. Although I'm now slipping into this is one of Jesse Marsh's things on the Red Bull Salzburg documentaries, congratulating somebody after training. So somebody says, I'm so pleased for you that you're playing so well at the moment. I think that's going to be great for you in the future, and I'm so pleased that this is happening for you right now. And I was being sick into a at the time, but now you can feel it's catching now. I'm so pleased that Matches Click has a nice life. I'm so glad that that's happening for him. I really feel like that's great for him.
You're a lovely young man, Moscow.
We're all lovely young men, really, aren't we? I wonder if there's ever going to be, if Marsh will ever snap and he'll be like, what's the opposite of a lovely young man? I guess we'll find out when he gets truly angry.
There you go.
Archie Gray, anyway. Yes, maybe when he finds out what Archie Gray's been up to. He's behind the bike sheds with a packet of 20 Benson & Hedges. That young man, I'm not happy for him. I feel so let down by the way his career is going. But they were great against Scum. The Chelsea one's is a bit of a mystery. I don't know if they've put the full 90 up anywhere yet.
It was 1-0 to Chelsea, wasn't it, on Sunday? We couldn't watch it because of the Premier League stupid broadcasting blackout means that they can't put any form of football up against the proper Premier League games.
And it was certainly filmed because highlights are on LUTV and they made us look great and did feature a bit of Archie Gray dribbling around players who looked to be about like 7 years older than him. But the full match just isn't anywhere. I don't know if that's a sanction related thing, but it can't be. I mean,
you're not allowed cameras.
Show us the game, but they filmed it, so I don't know. Very strange.
Okay,
but show us the defeat. I demand to watch a Leeds defeat.
I bet Bielsa's got a copy.
Yeah, of course, yes. That wraps up part one then of this week's weekly show. No preview on this one, but we will pick heroes and villains for the week if you want to stay tuned and find it in the same playlist.
The Square Ball Podcast.